Mark first saw Angela at a downtown art gallery. It was a crisp autumn evening and the city was alive with the hum of activity. The gallery was hosting an exhibition of contemporary art, and Mark, an art enthusiast, had decided to attend on a whim. Little did he know this decision would change his life forever. As he wandered through the gallery, admiring the various pieces on display, his eyes were drawn to a woman standing in front of a large abstract painting. She had an air of quiet confidence and grace that immediately captivated him. He couldn't take his eyes off her, and he found himself moving closer, almost as if pulled by an invisible force. Her eyes sparkled with intelligence and a hint of sadness, a combination that intrigued Mark deeply. He wondered what stories lay behind those eyes, what experiences had shaped her into the person she was. There was something about her that seemed both familiar and mysterious, a paradox that only added to her allure. Summoning his courage, Mark approached her and struck up a conversation. To his delight, she responded warmly, and they quickly found themselves engrossed in a deep and meaningful dialogue. They talked for hours that night, discussing everything from art and literature to their hopes and dreams. It was as if they had known each other for years, and the connection between them was undeniable. He was drawn to her enigmatic aura. Angela was an artist, and as she spoke about her work, Mark could see the passion and dedication in her eyes. She explained the inspiration behind her paintings, the emotions she poured into each brushstroke, and the stories she sought to tell through her art. Mark was fascinated by her creativity and the depth of her understanding. Her paintings were abstract and full of emotion, each one a vivid expression of her inner world. Mark found himself lost in the colors and shapes, trying to decipher the hidden meanings and messages. He admired the way Angela could convey such profound feelings through her art, and he felt a deep respect for her talent and vision. Mark loved hearing her interpretations of her work. Each explanation was like a window into her soul, revealing the thoughts and emotions that drove her creative process. He was amazed by her ability to articulate her ideas so clearly and passionately, and he found himself hanging on her every word. They shared a passion for art, music, and deep conversation. Their interests aligned perfectly, and they spent countless hours exploring galleries, attending concerts, and discussing their favorite books and films. It was a relationship built on mutual respect and admiration, and they both cherished the time they spent together. He felt an instant connection with her, a bond that seemed to transcend the physical world. It was as if their souls recognized each other, and they were drawn together by a force greater than themselves. Mark had never experienced anything like it before, and he knew that Angela was someone special. Mark found himself wanting to spend all his time with Angela. He looked forward to their meetings with eager anticipation, and each moment they shared felt like a precious gift. They explored the city together, discovering new places and creating memories that would last a lifetime. Whether they were wandering through a park or strolling through an art gallery, every experience was enriched by their presence in each other's lives. She was unlike anyone he'd ever met. Angela had a unique perspective on life, and her insights challenged Mark to see the world in new and exciting ways. She was a constant source of inspiration, and he admired her strength, resilience, and unwavering commitment to her art. She was beautiful, intelligent, and mysterious. Her beauty was not just in her appearance, but in the way she carried herself, the way she spoke, and the way she saw the world. Her intelligence shone through in every conversation, and her mystery kept Mark intrigued and eager to learn more about her. He was falling deeply in love. With each passing day, his feelings for Angela grew stronger, and he knew that he had found someone truly extraordinary. Their connection was something rare and beautiful, and Mark was determined to cherish and nurture it for as long as he could. As weeks turned into months, the world around them seemed to change subtly, yet profoundly. The leaves on the trees turned from vibrant green to shades of amber and gold, and the air grew crisp with the promise of winter. It was as if nature itself was mirroring the transformation in their lives. Mark and Angela's bond grew stronger. They were inseparable. Every moment they spent together was filled with laughter, shared dreams, and a deepening connection that neither had ever experienced before. They walked along the beach at sunset, the waves gently lapping at their feet, and held hands in a meadow surrounded by wildflowers. They sat together on park benches, lost in conversation, oblivious to the world around them. They explored the city together, hand in hand. The bustling streets, the serene parks, and the iconic landmarks became the backdrop to their love story. They discovered hidden cafes, quaint bookstores, and art galleries that seemed to speak to their souls. Every corner of the city held a new adventure, a new memory to cherish. He felt like he had known her his whole life. There was an ease and familiarity between them that was both comforting and exhilarating. They shared inside jokes, finished each other's sentences, and found joy in the simplest of moments. Mark often found himself looking at Angela with a sense of wonder, amazed at how perfectly she fit into his life. Angela, however, remained an enigma. Despite the closeness they shared, there were moments when she seemed distant, lost in her own thoughts. She would stand by the river, gazing out at the water, or look out to sea with a faraway expression. It was as if she was searching for something, or perhaps someone, in the horizon. She was hesitant to talk about her past. Whenever Mark tried to bring it up, she would change the subject or give vague answers. There was a sadness in her eyes, a heaviness that she carried with her. It was clear that there were parts of her life that she wasn't ready to share, and Mark respected that, even though it pained him to see her struggle. Mark sensed a deep sadness within her. He could see it in the way she sometimes withdrew, in the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. He wanted to help, to be there for her, but he didn't know how. He often found himself watching her with a worried expression, wondering what secrets she was hiding and how he could ease her burden. He longed to know her fully, but respected her boundaries. He knew that pushing her to open up would only drive her away. Instead, he chose to be patient, to offer his support in quiet, unspoken ways. He would hold her hand, sit with her in silence, and let her know that he was there for her, no matter what. Little did Mark know, Angela harbored a dark secret, a secret that haunted her every waking moment and filled her nights with restless dreams. She was constantly looking over her shoulder, afraid that her past would catch up with her. The shadowy figure that lurked in the corners of her mind was a constant reminder of the life she had left behind, a secret that would soon surface and shatter their idyllic world. The storm clouds were gathering and the waves were crashing violently against the rocks. The trees swayed in the strong wind as if warning of the turmoil to come. Angela knew that she couldn't keep running forever and that the truth would eventually come to light, a secret that she desperately tried to outrun. She ran along deserted paths, constantly looking back, fearing that her past was catching up with her. She hid behind trees, trying to escape the shadows that seemed to follow her everywhere. But no matter how fast she ran, or how well she hid, she knew that she couldn't escape forever. The whispers of the past were growing louder, and soon they would be impossible to ignore. 6 months into their relationship, Angela changed dramatically. She became increasingly withdrawn and anxious. Her once bright eyes now held a constant, haunting fear. Mark was worried. He tried to reach out to her. Angela pushed him away, avoiding him. She couldn't bring herself to confide in him. The weight of her secret was suffocating her daily. The fear consumed her every thought. One evening, Angela broke down completely. Tears streamed down her face as she finally revealed her secret to Mark. She was pregnant. The father was her abusive ex-boyfriend, a man she feared. Mark was stunned. The news hit him like a freight train, leaving him breathless and disoriented. He stood there in the middle of the park, trying to process the gravity of Angela's revelation. His mind raced, replaying the moment over and over again, each time hoping it was just a bad dream. He reeled from the shock of Angela's revelation. The weight of her words pressed down on him, making it hard to breathe. He wandered aimlessly, his thoughts a chaotic whirlwind. The deserted beach, the empty park bench, and the silent trees became his silent confidants, bearing witness to his inner turmoil. He felt a wave of emotions wash over him, anger, fear, and a profound sadness for Angela. Each emotion crashed into him like relentless waves against a fragile shore. He sat by the lake, his head in his hands, trying to make sense of it all. He paced in the backyard, his mind a storm of conflicting feelings. By the river, he stood still, a mix of emotions etched on his face. Despite the situation, Mark's love for Angela ran deep. He remembered the times they spent together, the moments of pure joy and unspoken understanding. Holding her hand in the park, embracing under the tree and gazing into her eyes in the garden, these memories were his anchor, reminding him of the love that bound them. He vowed to support her. No matter how daunting the challenges ahead seemed, he was determined to stand by her side. In the forest, he reassured her with gentle words. In the park, they held hands firmly, drawing strength from each other. By the lake, he comforted her, promising that they would face everything together. They faced countless challenges, financial strain which seemed to grow heavier with each passing day. The bills piled up and the stress of making ends meet weighed heavily on their shoulders. They spent countless hours discussing their finances, trying to find a way out of the mounting debt. Their conversations were filled with worry, their faces etched with lines of concern. The disapproval of Angela's family, which was a constant source of tension. Her family couldn't understand their love and often confronted them with harsh words and disapproving looks. On the porch, they faced the judgmental stares of her relatives. In the yard, they stood together, united against the barrage of criticism. Even as family arguments raged in the background, they held on to each other, finding solace in their shared resolve. And the constant threat of her ex, who seemed to lurk in the shadows, always watching, always waiting. They couldn't escape the feeling of being followed, the fear that he might appear at any moment. In the park, they glanced over their shoulders, their hearts pounding with anxiety. In the alleyway, his menacing presence loomed, a dark cloud over their happiness. Angela's worried glances spoke volumes, her fear palpable as they walked together, always on edge. The stress took a toll on their relationship. They argued more frequently. The love that once flowed effortlessly between them now seemed strained, burdened by the weight of their troubles. In the park, their voices rose in anger, each word a dagger to the heart. On the bridge, their heated discussions echoed, a testament to their growing frustration. Along the trail, their fights became more frequent, each step a reminder of the widening chasm between them. The joy they once shared was replaced by a heavy silence. They sat on the bench, the space between them filled with unspoken words and unresolved issues. On the beach, they walked apart, their sad expressions mirroring the distance that had grown between them. By the lake, they stood silently, the once vibrant connection now a distant memory. They both changed, hardened by the ordeal. The trials they faced had left their mark, etching lines of resilience and sorrow on their faces. In the forest, they walked with hardened expressions, their hearts guarded against further pain. By the river, they stood side by side, yet their gazes were averted, each lost in their own thoughts. Under the tree, they stood apart, their somber faces a reflection of the emotional distance that had grown between them.